when I was growing up, there were two brothers that went to school with me. One was a year older than me, and one was my age. And these boys were crazy. They were forever getting in fights with each other and other people, pulling crazy stunts like after school care, just doing whatever, and they were always in trouble. Yeah, well, that after school care never got rid of them. No matter what they did, they never got kicked out, which I don't think it was anything bad. It was just they had a lot of energy and they dedicated it to some weird stuff. And I played baseball with both of them. They're both about my age, and we're on the baseball team together. And their dad, despite them being like just rambunctious kids, their dad was nothing but nice. He was always nice to me. He was always friendly to me. And I don't know whether it's true or not. We always heard nasty rumors that he was in the Klan, which I don't know. Maybe it's true that it's a story. I never could say. He didn't strike me as a type, but maybe so. What do I know? But their dad convinced his kids they were rich, like he was rich. And keep in mind, they were divorced, so divorced dads might have flights of fancy with their kids. Like, I don't get to see them much. And as kids, you look up to your dad. You think your dad is the strongest and the biggest and the toughest and the baddest. Because usually they'll encourage that and kind of lie. My dad didn't. My dad didn't exaggerate and didn't care. He didn't want to compete with anybody. He just wanted to work, eat, go home, maybe play golf. But anyway, he kept up the rumor that he was rich, and the kids perpetuated the rumor, like, oh, my dad's rich. My dad's rich. And I didn't think nothing of it, but he told it so much, I guess I finally believed him. And then one day, he needed a ride home, and my dad took him home, and they got to look at their house. They lived in a trailer, and my dad's like, if he's so rich, why do they live in a trailer? And I thought about it, and my dad was pretty logical. If something didn't make sense, he was on it. And I asked him the next day, I was like, yeah, if you talk about your dad being so rich, why do you live in a trailer? And he, of course, had an answer. People that lie will always have an answer with more lies. Oh, well, that's just so he can spend more money on his family. He didn't need a big house. He wants to spend more money on us. Oh, okay. And I thought that was just some lie he told his kids. But no. He believed it himself, because one time in baseball, we needed uniforms. And my dad was like, we'll just take up money. And their dad was like, no, I'll pay for the uniforms. I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. I got it. I think he expected my dad to be like, oh, man, you must be rich. I'm going to high five you and follow you around and tell everybody you're rich. That didn't happen. All my dad did was, okay, cool. And then it came time to collect money for the uniforms. And my dad's like, hey, you got the money for the uniforms? Oh, I don't have it. I don't have the money right now. And my dad's like, oh, okay, great, thanks. And my dad mentioned that to me. Yeah, he's rich, all right. And kind of to show off, at the baseball field, they'd have pizzas delivered and charge for pizza by the slice. And at the end of the day, after all the games had been played, if they had any pizzas left over, he'd buy them, maybe at a discount, and then give them to the teams. So when he did that, I was like, well, you can say you're as rich as you want. You're buying me pizza, because I was always been a big kid, so I could eat some pizza, and you give me unlimited pizza, hey, you can say you're rich all you want. And as the years went by, I quit playing baseball, but I still went to school with the two brothers, and they were always into some crazy stuff. And we got to middle school, and they had a reputation. You didn't really mess with them. They were crazy. They were always into crazy stuff. Well, one guy, he was having none of that, which I don't think he heard the story, but he was the type of guy to pick fights, because the people at my middle school, they would pick fights with whoever, and they didn't care. So he got in a fight with the oldest brother, and he beat the shit out of him. I saw the whole thing from one of my classrooms. It was bad. And that guy wasn't done yet. Just to show that it wasn't a fluke, he fought the other brother, which I think he may have went after him anyway, because the guy that beat him up was black. And you remember how I mentioned their dad might have been in the Klan? That might have had something to do with it. Might have had some racist motives. But he beat up the other brother. And then, inexplicably, I don't know how this happened, he ran into their mom at the school. And words were thrown out, and she said something to him, he might have said something to her, and she hit him with her purse. And he proceeded to beat the shit out of her too. So, if that tells you how crazy people were, he beat up the two brothers, then beat up the mom. And I figured his dad would have probably got out a gun and shot him if they hadn't been divorced, but he probably, knowing how divorces go, he probably would have just been like, oh, hey, thanks for beating up my ex-wife. So I got to tell you, no matter how crazy you are, there's always someone crazier, especially someone crazy enough to beat up someone's mom.